And so what we did is we brought our routing to a unified system in a portal online. So whether you're getting business permitting done in the city or the county of Pueblo, having the same look and having technology, quite frankly, that you could utilize to stand up your project was really important to us. Mm-hmm. There's also some Pueblo Means Business staff that help businesses navigate the different routing processes and really provide that nice touch. So I'm very proud of the improvement that has been made to the routing, streamlining routing processes and helping folks stand up businesses in a quicker fashion. As we all know, with startups and being entrepreneurs, time is money and it costs. And so we realized that was our Achilles heel, and we really got after it.
The very latest on economic development, workforce, and industry sector news in Southern Colorado. Here is Business Digest Weekly with our host, Dirk Hobbs.
All right, good Friday afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Business Digest Weekly. I am your host, Dirk Hobbs. I'm sure glad you're with us this afternoon in Southern Colorado. It's another beautiful summer day. You're only 2 short hours away from happy hour, so get another hour and a half of work done, then look at your boss and say, I'm out of here. So another great week here in Southern Colorado, but I want to focus on something that's happening here real soon in Colorado Springs. In particular, we've got the U.S. Senior Open coming to town. And if you haven't heard, chances are you have not been around because this is happening, and it is a big deal. About $24 million in economic impact for those days here at the Broadmoor. They'll be playing the East Course, which is a Donald Ross course out there at the world-renowned Broadmoor Resort. And this year's honorary chairman is Hale Irwin, who we had the pleasure of meeting recently, and he is gracing our cover of North Magazine, which is coming out real soon. If you haven't seen it, go to coloradomediagroup.com. You'll see this guy's actually he's a great gentleman, very modest, very confident about what he's accomplished. Of course, he's won more majors than just about anybody except one guy. So he's number 2 in the world that way, but he's taken a couple of U.S. Opens. Never quite got his hands around the Masters, but he certainly has become one of the most prolific PGA Touring professional champions ever to play the game. And I think he's up to 83 championships. Extraordinary. So I don't think even Jack Nicklaus has that many. So pretty exceptional gentleman, but the folks at the Broadmoor have done extraordinary work preparing us and preparing their guests for an exceptional experience. Of course, that is to be known. If you've ever visited the Broadmoor, you know what I'm talking about. But still time to get some tickets. And if you have a 17-year-old or younger and they happen to be a fan of golf or would like to experience that for the first time, you can take them out there at no cost. Compliments of the USGA. So thank you for that. If you're not able to get up to Colorado Springs or down or over to Colorado Springs, depending on where you're from, or you're in other parts of the country listening to us, you can always dial into Peacock Network or Golf Channel for the first 2 rounds. That's Thursday and Friday. Saturday and Sunday, they'll move everything over to NBC Sports. So we'll be having coverage of the 45th U.S. Senior Open here in Southern Colorado. So very exciting stuff. A great 4-day commercial on Southeast Colorado. And it's hopefully the weather will be fabulous as it usually is here, and we'll have a lot of fun. So anyway, glad you're with us. Go out to your search engine and type in U.S. Senior Open. You'll see the tickets right there. Go to a Broadmoor link and get yourself out there and have some fun. You'll see Freddie Couples, Hale Irwin will be out there. You name it. I mean, just every player you can think of from days past, and they'll be out there. And I got to tell you, I was struck by something when we went into Media Day. All these guys are super competitive. I mean, you would imagine that, right, on the surface. But you think, well, it's the Senior Open. They're kind of just, sunsetting their career. No. This is, for all intents and purposes, the most important tournament on their list. And every tournament is. But they come out there to win. And good prize money, good environment, and, of course, the world-renowned Broadmoor. So anyway, hope you can join us. And if you're looking for the business and economic news throughout the region, you go to socodigest.com. We have recently taken over the Colorado Springs Business Journal, have merged it into the Business Digest. And of course, we'll be welcoming news from all over the region, from South Denver Tech Center to Trinidad, Canyon City to Kansas. That's our ecosystem, ladies and gentlemen. And we are very fond of telling the world our story and how much we have to offer. Business-friendly environment. And we want companies to take a serious look at what we have to offer here, whether it's in Colorado Springs, Pueblo, Trinidad, any of the communities. We have a great workforce and a great infrastructure for innovation and, of course, development of manufactured goods and other things, other industry sectors like aerospace and defense, cybersecurity, manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, technology, silicon, you name it, energy, agriculture. We got it going on here. So let's have a conversation. Check in with your Economic Development Corporation, and of course, your chambers, and also check out the digest. All right, well, let's get down to business here. I am very excited about today's guest because we have a very senior representative from Colorado State University in Pueblo. He is their CFO as well as Vice President of Operation. Mr. Garrison Ortiz is across the board from us today. Hi.
Hi. Good morning.
Glad you're here.
It's really a pleasure and certainly an honor. Thank you for having me on the show today.
You're absolutely very welcome here, and I'm excited to have you here because we get a voice from Pueblo talking about what's going on down there and how things are going, just generally speaking, on the economic front down in Pueblo, but also your college, your university down there, and what's happening on campus. So, but before we do, what I like to do, Garrison, is just let the listening audience and some of the viewing audience just get to know our guest and who they are, where they come from, all that good stuff. So give us a little background on Garrison.
Sure. Well, thank you, Dirk. And once again, thank you for the time to provide a perspective on Colorado State University-Pueblo and also Pueblo County in general. Mm-hmm. And congratulations on the recent acquisition.
Thank you.
Followed the Colorado Springs Business Journal, and they actually did a feature article on me, I think, when I was
I do recall
a pretty young county commissioner a long time ago. So great job there, and thank you for connecting with the Pueblo community the past year.
Absolutely. We're here to support.
You bet.
So give us a little background on you. Are you a native Puebloan?
Yes, I'm born and raised in Pueblo, raised by my mother and my grandparents. I went to Pueblo Community College.
Very good.
When the concurrent enrollment program first started, I was a Kane Scholar to Colorado State University-Pueblo, so I'm actually an alum of CSU-Pueblo.
Wow.
And because of the concurrent enrollment program, I graduated with my MBA about 3 years out of high school. And I think I had a week off after commencement, and an alum hired me to go work in the private sector. So I did a lot of consulting in my early 20s. I worked in Mexico City, parts of Canada, and really all over the country. I spent a lot of time in D.C. and also had some pretty big projects in Portland, Dallas, Miami, all over the country. And even though I was in my early 20s, 230 some days in a Marriott in 1 year takes a little bit out of you, and missed a lot of birthdays and graduations. And I wanted to, in essence, come back home. Always owned a home, always owned some real estate, and did some residential real estate in my early 20s. And but I ran for county commissioner, started running when I think I had an exploratory committee when I was 24, mm-hmm. and I was elected when I was 26. I had the honor of serving Pueblo County for almost 7 years. I left my term a little bit early and was fortunate to come over to CSU-Pueblo to work as their CFO, and I was promoted a year ago as the Vice President of University Operations. So my wife and I, we have two beautiful kids, just have a wonderful little family and very young family. Mm-hmm. 2 weeks ago, I just completed my final defense. I will walk this Saturday at commencement for CU Denver. So I have completed my doctorate in higher education. And so we also have done a little bit in residential and commercial real estate.
Good for you,
from
man.
Storage business to some some other commercial real estate. We've certainly, the business community when I was in office was always very near and dear to me, and I'm always looking for ways to be engaged with it and support it in any way that I can. And at the university, always looking for points of connection so that we can help provide an educated and skilled workforce where needed. Well,
we're going to do a deep dive into that, so I appreciate you laying some foundation there. Now, you can't be 40 yet.
I just turned 35 years old.
Okay. You have done an extraordinary amount in your young life, in your young professional life. What attracted you to service to the community as a county commissioner? What was the impetus of that?
Sure. I really enjoyed my role in the private sector. Everything was very fast, and I got to see how one organization after the other did business. Mm-hmm. They always said that 1 year in consulting was equivalent to 4 years in any other position. And so I felt like I really got to see how public and private sector entities budgeted, forecasted, reported, really grew my professional network in that way, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it was wonderful. But I really wanted a greater connection to the work that I was doing. I know that may sound trite to some folks listening, but I wanted to feel that I was making a difference, moving the needle, rather than just simply implementing a big project. And I've always had a great sense of community. Ever since I was young, I have always been engaged in different youth groups. In fact, I started a youth group years ago for middle school students, and that's how I kind of became connected to some different folks and civic circles that wanted to help with that youth group actually and offer resources. And when I was looking at ways that I could come back to my community and give back, I kind of became acclimated with what a county commissioner does. And I understood that, they have a very pivotal role in allocating resources. The county budget was pretty paramount in Pueblo, one of the largest budgets that there are of public institutions. And I thought I had a lot to offer, certainly a lot to learn, but I felt like I had a lot to offer. And I also felt it was time for folks for younger leadership to step up and begin shaping a community that we all are going to raise our children in and live in. So.
No doubt about it. Well, Pueblo is on the move, and we're going to get into that because I want you to talk about how the university is positioned not only in the community but in the region to help serve employers as well as that workforce. So we're hanging out with almost soon-to-be Dr. Garrison Ortiz. Not quite. He's got a few weeks. But when you hear this, actually, you will be a doctor by then.
Yeah, so actually, it's official after the final defense.
Well, so, there you go. Yeah. So we're almost there. But he is the CFO and Vice President of Operations at CSU-Pueblo. And we're going to get a better look at the school and how it works with local employers, regional employers, and, of course, that workforce. So stick around. We're back in a moment.
My experience with Colorado Springs Orthopedic Group has been top-notch. The whole orthopedic group, they've worked very well together. Even when I've gone through PT or needed to get my collar prosthetic, everybody's been just right on top of it. It's all centralized and the communications have been awesome. Even though I had my nervousness about going into surgery, I was still very confident. I knew I was going to be okay. Colorado Springs Orthopedic Group is definitely getting me back to my life and the things that I want to do.
All right, we're back here second quarter with Business Digest Weekly on a Friday afternoon here in Southern Colorado, and we are glad you are with us. Across the board for me, I have Dr. Garrison Ortiz. He informed me that he did transition, defended it, and he is officially a doctor. So Dr. Garrison Ortiz, CFO and Vice President of Operations at Colorado State University in Pueblo. You've seen that moniker. You know they won a national championship a little while ago, but they also work with local employers and, of course, the workforce here in Southern Colorado. And we're going to give you a deep dive into what's happening on campus as well as throughout their online programs and elsewhere. So glad you're with us, Garrison. Thanks for coming in, man.
Yes. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Really appreciate you. And obviously the role that university plays in Pueblo is a huge one. Give us a little sense of appreciation for how the university is positioned in Pueblo and really how prolific it is.
Sure. Well, we have two institutions of higher education locally. We have Pueblo Community College, which I'm very fond of, not just as an alum, but also previously sitting on the Community College System Board for the state.
Very good.
But Colorado State University-Pueblo is our regional comprehensive university that is really doing some pretty innovative things. But I think above all else, our job right now is to be as responsive as we can to, and working hand in hand with organizations like PEDCO and the various chambers of commerce to be responsive to growing needs for a skilled and educated workforce. And so, it's always the kind of the old adage where you have the chicken before the egg, which comes first, the jobs or the skill pipeline. But I really do see our success over the next decade rooted in our ability to strengthen the nexus of what we do to industry. How can we ensure that the programs that we have really have a high ROI and a real strong connection to industry that's in our backyard? Got it.
Yep. So do you actually interface a lot with the employers down there to understand what they need specifically?
Yeah. So I think my background as a county commissioner is really beginning to come into play.
Right on.
I was just appointed to sit on the PEDCO board. So I had my first meeting actually this last week.
Very good.
So I think that helps by keeping me and the university abreast of what are the most recent economic prospects. What are they going to need to kind of close deals? And in turn, how do we get ahead of that at the university and ensure that we tailor academic programming to meet those workforce needs?
No question.
Yeah.
So you guys have had some nice wins on the board. You've got CS Win down there and a couple of other bigger employers. I want to go through that. But let's say we got a bunch of site selectors listening to this program, how would you table Pueblo County, the city of Pueblo, and surrounding regions? As because if you ask us about El Paso County, we'll tell you space, aerospace, military and defense. What would you say about Pueblo?
Yeah, so Pueblo obviously has a lot to offer. I mean, of course, we have kind of your more traditional tools of economic development that include things like opportunity zones and enterprise zones. You all certainly have that here in El Paso County. Yeah. But I think what makes Pueblo unique is we have PEDCO, the Pueblo Economic Development Corporation, that has had a dedicated half-cent sales tax that is dedicated solely towards bringing in economic development prospects and providing financial incentives that create primary jobs. We also have the Pueblo Urban Renewal Authority, which I currently sit on as well.
Yeah, you're busy, man.
And represent the university. And that's why I keep mentioning, having a university connection to these economic development engines, I think is really important. And I think I've been able to bring that, and I have some experience with that in being a county commissioner. But we're pretty. Our URA is very active in putting together tax increment financing and other financial incentives as well. I think a prime example of that, where both really came together and the community pulled together, was to incentivize Evraz, known as the steel mill, to do a pretty big cash incentive, along with some help from OEDIT.
Is this the long rail?
For the long rail mill.
Yeah.
I think that's a good example, and I think we need to continue to build upon that. We have some industrial parks that are just prime sites for manufacturing. So your land is going to be pretty ample, affordable. When it comes to water, we have water probably 3 or 4 times over to serve the city and county of Pueblo.
Indeed, you do. Yes.
And so I think that's certainly a strength that we lean into when it comes to recruiting economic development prospects. And I'll also say our utility provider is pretty active in Black Hills Energy and trying to find ways to provide power, especially for heavy manufacturing sites. So I think there's a lot that we have to offer, but if I had to sum it up in one word, we're pretty nimble, right? I think it's to our benefit that we're a smaller community. We have a lot of financial resources we can bring to bear, but we're nimble and we're hungry for economic development in our city and county.
Well, there's no question, and there's a lot going on there. As I said, CS Wind has put their flag there, as well as the Long Rail Company. Now SwissPod is out at the depot trying to create something special out there, that Hyperloop that you guys may have seen in some of the news briefs in the digest. But traditionally, and in the past, Pueblo's been a steel town, right? So it was kind of the Rocky Mountain steel capital, kind of like West Virginia was back in the day.
That's correct.
And so has it evolved beyond that? Has it kind of outgrown that reputation? Is slightly differently positioned?
Yeah.
How would you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. We've always been known a little bit as a blue collar community, and there's a very strong sense of pride, as you probably have found in meeting some folks from Pueblo. And,
good people.
But I do see us beginning to evolve into kind of more advanced manufacturing and a need for a different kind of job, specifically majors in the engineering realm, right? I also think a major area of opportunity and growth that you're going to see in the coming decade, in a big way, is the work that Pueblo-Plex is doing out at the chemical depot. And so we're currently in the process of receiving that land back from the federal government. As listeners may know, this was one of the last and final sites in which mustard agent still existed, and they have more or less completed that process of destroying all of that mustard agent.
Wonderful.
And so now we have just acres and acres of unencumbered land with tons of infrastructure, water, electricity, and Pueblo-Plex is really taking charge of how do we repurpose that. And so you already have some various companies that have a presence out there, and I have quite a few friends actually that are engineers that work at United Launch Alliance and some of those other companies. So I think you're going to see that continue to evolve.
Yeah, when we get press releases, we do see a lot of technology companies popping up out there. There's some cybersecurity companies coming online. So definitely the tech conversation and advanced manufacturing is definitely a part of the equation down there. I know Jeff Shaw runs Pedco, and what's kind of their outlook as best you can tell? I guess you've only gone to one meeting so far, but as best you can tell, I mean, what's kind of the outlook for maybe the next few years? Yeah,
I not to speak for Jeff, and I think him and Pedco do a great job. It was really nice to be at that meeting. It was kind of like coming back home because I was involved so much prior as a commissioner. I think there's going to be a lot of work around data centers and bringing data centers to Pueblo. There's a lot of pieces that have to come together, but we have a lot of those starting ingredients ready to go.
Including those incentives,
right? Yep. So you're bringing half-cent sales tax increment financing to the table. We have ample land, as long as we're, pretty near to a substation. These are pretty prized sites in their selection process.
Well, and with the national conversation around AI centers going in, I mean, they consume a tremendous amount of power.
That's correct.
So you guys are really in position beautifully for that.
Yes. Yeah, we're in a really good position for that space. I think cybersecurity.
Yes.
There's also some synergy from some of the other firms that we have in Pueblo, like MXV Rail, United Launch Alliance. So I'm hoping that as Pueblo-Plex picks up their work, that there are more companies like that begin to co-locate, which we know they like to do.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So once you have somebody plant their flag down there, retention is another part of the equation from an economic development standpoint. So you've got the Riverwalk, which is beautiful. You got a great restaurant and arts scene down there.
That's right.
What are some of the other messages you'd like site selectors to hear about Pueblo?
Yeah. So there's a lot of partners that come into play, and I think that's really the beauty of Pueblo, right? Mm-hmm. When we have an economic development prospect come in, we're big enough to offer resources to bring them in, but we're also small and nimble enough to keep them here. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is I think we do a good job of bringing, with Pedco being a little bit of the epicenter, bringing Pura to the table, the community college, CSU-Pueblo as the university, and saying, okay, if you want to do an expansion, let's see how we can accomplish that. Do we want to refinance some bonds and utilize TIF? Do the chambers need to kind of step up any sort of marketing effort to promote that business? And more importantly, do the universities need to create some tailored programs to get you an educated workforce quicker coming out of the university?
I love that. And employers love that message for sure, because
absolutely.
A lot of times colleges and universities will produce a product, a degree program, which obviously prepares that individual or that student body for the workforce. But if we can get more granular, more specific in industry, that tends to help. Yeah.
I mean, in Pueblo, I think you've heard, I mean, we're a very proud community. I think every community has their internal battles, right?
Amen,
brother. But you know, the thing that we can all rally behind is a good economic development prospect. I've seen folks really get out of each other's way and really get behind business when it comes in, because we know what it means for property tax, sales tax, just keeping our community vibrant. We want those folks down here eating at our restaurants, staying in our hotels, and just patronizing all the small businesses that we have downtown. So,
amen,
some we can all get behind.
Indeed. Well, clearly, if you're not incentivized yet, you certainly will be. But this is a great conversation with Dr. Garrison Ortiz. He is the Vice President of Operations and Chief Financial Officer over at Colorado State University-Pueblo. And it's a great economic development message we're having here today, folks. And I want people to take a closer look at the Pueblo County and Pueblo region. Obviously, there's several corridors that run through there, I-25, and then the 50 corridor out to Canyon City makes for a great transportation hub as well. And really love the fact that you spotlighted the data warehouses, because that is a huge conversation on a national level, and I'd love to see Colorado win some of those bids. All right, we're back here with Dr. Garrison Ortiz in just a moment. All right, we're back here, second half, Business Digest Weekly. I am your host, Dirk Hobbs, and hey, I wish to give a quick shout out to our good friends over at Colorado Springs Orthopedic Group. They help underwrite this program and allow us to meet some of the movers and shakers throughout Southeast Colorado. These are business development experts, economic development experts, and of course, professionals in a range of economic sectors and industries. And today we have a great guest. Dr. Garrison Ortiz is with us. He is the Chief Financial Officer and Vice President of Operations at Colorado State University-Pueblo. And he is he's a native of Pueblo, but he is a definite economic development guy. I love the conversation we're having here because it really helps site selectors and employers understand the vibrancy that is happening in your community and throughout the Front Range, frankly, here in Southern Colorado. So thanks for being here, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. So we've had a good conversation thus far, and he's giving us a lot of ingredients to use as it relates to making site selection decisions. And I encourage you, if you missed the first two sections here, go on Spotify or iHeart and pick those up. Get the full conversation here with Garrison Ortiz. And you just look up Business Digest Radio on Spotify and iHeart and Apple. And of course, YouTube is also carrying us. So if you're more of a visual learner, you definitely want to hit YouTube as well. Just look up Colorado Media Group. All right, folks, let's get back to the conversation. You all have a program down there called the Development Project in executive summary. I want to understand what that is and how it works and what it means for that community.
Sure. Thank you for your interest in it. At CSU-Pueblo, we recognize that we have a tightening funding picture all across the country. Institutions of higher education have a little bit of an uncertain federal funding picture, but the state budget, as you know, they had a $1.3 billion deficit that they were working with,
right?
And so I think institutions are beginning to realize across the country you have mergers and acquisitions and some closures, quite frankly, occurring throughout the year. We're going to have to find a way to diversify our revenue streams, exercise some cost avoidance, and really tighten our financial belts, if you will. And so when I started as CFO, actually about 2 years ago now, almost to date, I was asked by the president at that time to really try to find some ways of generating some additional revenue. And one of the things I really latched onto was a lot of our vacant land to the south of our campus. So we have roughly over 100 acres of vacant land right at the entrance of campus that is ripe for development right along Highway 47.
Okay.
And so in summary, over the past year, I've spent a lot of time along with our project team to go on ahead and put forth a proposal for a commercial mixed-use development that will include walk-up retail, several quick-service restaurants, a standalone restaurant, a hotel, a new student housing project, and some townhomes.
Very good.
So a lot of commercial and residential development.
Is there room for something of an innovation park or something like that, or is that already happening there?
You know, that's a great question. So we have the proposed development in no way gets even close to occupying all of the land.
Sure.
So we have ample space for additional ideas. I will say that a private firm has approached me with an idea. I won't mention the firm's name just yet.
Yep.
But with an idea for possibly a technology program.
Very good.
In which we have kind of some tailored academic programs and graduates come out with training, but also they have a physical presence and a learning lab right there within the development itself.
Got it.
So obviously we've jumped on that. Not sure if that'll come to fruition, but you're right. I think if we want a closer nexus to industry, having an industry presence right on campus is what it's really all about.
Is there an opportunity for people to invest now, Garrison, as far as you're concerned, to start building some of those infrastructure components, some of those warehouses in advance and in anticipation of some of those awards being handed to Pueblo?
So we're currently in the process of, it's a very exciting time for us, but we're in the process of selecting a master developer.
Excellent.
So we have had the opportunity to meet with several master developers, some outside of Colorado, but predominantly within the state of Colorado, and we hope to make a decision actually here in August of this calendar year.
Very good.
So I think you'll see there was already an announcement because we've brought this forth with City Council.
Correct.
But I think you'll see some pretty big announcements towards the end of the year.
Very good. I'm glad that's alive and well. What about cost of living down there? How does that compare to the state, and how is Pueblo doing in that realm?
Yeah, so the median family income in the county-wide is approximately $52,000, $53,000 a year.
Okay.
At the university, that within about a 1.5 mile radius, that about doubles.
Okay.
And so we also have in the city and county's master planning efforts, a majority of the residential development is slated for either here on the north side, right next to the university, or in Pueblo West.
Pueblo West,
and,
yeah.
Right. And so what we've kind of touted is, look, we have a substation nearby, we have ample water. Obviously, this is university-owned land, so we can provide that, obviously, at a pretty steep discount if needed. But we also are in the process of creating an urban renewal area, so that brings tax increment financing to the table. That's currently in process and working through the various taxing entities. And we also have 3 metropolitan districts that are currently in the process of being created.
Okay.
So I think our project is rather unique. It would be the first development project on a university campus that has its very own urban renewal area and metropolitan district.
Beauty.
Really combining kind of some traditional tools of private development with the benefits of kind of the non-taxable benefits that the university has.
Now, are you guys, like El Paso County, we've had a housing shortage up here for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And just housing availability, especially affordable housing availability. Now you see townhomes and apartment complexes popping up everywhere. Is something similar happening in Pueblo?
Yes, we're certainly short on housing product as well. I think the local housing authority is doing some good work to try and address that shortage. But yeah, most definitely by creating more townhomes, more apartment complexes for students to live in. There hasn't been new multifamily housing product built kind of in our immediate vicinity in a long time. So not only is it needed, but we also know that it's going to increase the appeal of CSU-Pueblo in a big way and really make us a lot more attractive for prospective students.
No question about it. What about the city center? Have you guys got some available Class A space down there for professional services and things like that? What's going on downtown?
Yeah, so I think downtown is, you see a lot of, you see some entrepreneurs downtown that are doing a good job of taking some older buildings, especially along Union and Main Street and that sort of thing, and they're renovating them. They're kind of gutting them out and turning them into retail spaces on bottom. They're doing a good job with creating modern living spaces up top. So I'm very excited about what's going on downtown. I obviously saw a lot of that when I was a county commissioner.
Sure.
But I think you're starting to see some of that activity also around the Riverwalk. The Riverwalk has a channel extension, including a boathouse, that will be complete here towards the end of the calendar year. And so that's a pretty nice extension.
Well, as Pueblo's position in the state is kind of in the banana belt there, you and Canyon City, because it's generally 8 to 10 degrees warmer down there on any given day.
It is.
For better or worse, certainly better in the winter and maybe a little warmer down in the summertime. But my point is, outdoor lifestyle's got to be a huge part of the equation down in Pueblo because you do have a milder climate and you do have some beautiful waterways down there.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, we have Lake Pueblo, or the Pueblo Reservoir as it's referred to. You have gold medal waters there, so
right.
Fishing and fly fishing is a big thing. There's even some surfing that kind of takes place.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they're along the Nature Center, and they're in the Arkansas. You have a lot of recreation and boating. I'm not sure where it sits currently, but Lake Pueblo is one of the most visited state parks
I'm not surprised.
in the state. And I was also surprised to hear that we have around Lake Pueblo, I think, some of the best bike trails in the state of Colorado.
Oh, that's fabulous.
So we have a lot of folks driving down from Denver and Colorado Springs on the weekend if you're a serious mountain biker.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have, some fairly flat land down there, so you don't get a lot of elevation change, which I like.
Right.
Because the steeper the hill, the more grumpier I get. So anyway, we're hanging out with CFO and Vice President of Operations at Colorado State University-Pueblo, Garrison Ortiz. He is giving an inside look, not only at what the university is doing down there, but what the city and county of Pueblo is doing. This is one of the fastest growing areas in the state of Colorado, folks, and they are primed, ready for business for a great number of industries. And we want to make sure you have as much information as you can. If you're a site selector or investigator trying to figure out where your company's expansion or to plant their headquarters, this is a good opportunity for you to look into some of the incentives that are happening down there, as well as the infrastructure that they built with not only with partnerships between the city and private industry, but also education. And they're doing a heck of a lot of great work down there, preparing the workforce for next generation jobs. Stick around. We're going to get into some more stuff at CSU-Pueblo in just a moment.
My experience with Colorado Springs Orthopedic Group has been top-notch. The whole orthopedic group, they've worked very well together. Even when I've gone through PT or needed to get my collar prosthetic, everybody's been just right on top of it. It's all centralized and the communications have been awesome. Even though I had my nervousness about going into surgery, I was still very confident. I knew I was going to be okay. Colorado Springs Orthopedic Group is definitely getting me back to my life and the things that I want to do.
All right, we're fourth quarter here with the Business Digest Weekly. I am your host, Dirk Hobbs. It is 3:45-ish in the afternoon on a Friday. It is time for your first cold toddy of the afternoon. The work week is almost over, ladies and gentlemen. You're a mere hour and 15 minutes away from heating up that blender and getting yourself underway for a beautiful Colorado weekend. We have the good fortune of hanging out with Garrison Ortiz. This is a very fine young gentleman, young professional, former county commissioner in Pueblo, and now the CFO and vice president of operations at Colorado State University-Pueblo. And it's really been a privilege having this conversation with you, Garrison, because obviously you've seen a lot of the mechanism in Pueblo and in government in general and how economic development works, and that is very clear. But you're giving us a great picture of the community of Pueblo and the county, what's going on down there, the infrastructure, how the university plays a role, public-private partnerships that are evolving. I'd love to get to know, and your development project, of course, which I encourage everybody to get to know a little bit more about. If you want to visit CSU-Pueblo online, go to csupueblo.edu. If you want to give them a call and get to know the campus and some of the programs that they're doing over there, 719-549-2951. Garrison, welcome back, brother.
Thank you. Thanks again for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Appreciate you driving up here and giving us these insights because, perception is reality for a lot of people. But when you have somebody like yourself who's been there for a lifetime so far and you understand the inner workings and what the community's ambitions are, and how you're positioned as a great place to live, work, and do business. That's obviously what we're here to do. So glad you're here to do that for us and give us some insights on what's happening down there. So we've talked about your development project. We've talked a little bit about private-public partnerships, which is hugely important, and some of the industry sectors that are happening in there. Tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial ecosystem down there. Is Pueblo kind of shoring up like innovation centers, accelerators, things like that? What's the infrastructure for that?
Sure. I think that towards the tail end of my county commissioner career, we really were quite focused on that. And in fact, when I was a commissioner, I and a few others took a trip up here to see how business permitting really works in Colorado Springs. Mm-hmm. And I think what we saw is you have a really nice system.
Wasn't always that way.
Yeah, it wasn't always that way. But you've really attacked the routing sheet, as I would say. And so we try to do that in an effort called Pueblo Means Business.
Very good.
And so what we did is we brought our routing to a unified system in a portal online. So whether you're getting business permitting done in the city or the county of Pueblo, having the same look and having technology, quite frankly, that you could utilize to stand up your project was really important to us. Mm-hmm. There's also some Pueblo Means Business staff that help businesses navigate the different routing processes and really provide that nice touch. So I'm very proud of the improvement that has been made to the streamlining routing processes and helping folks stand up businesses in a quicker fashion. As we all know, with startups and being entrepreneurs, time is money and it costs. Yeah. And so we realized that was our Achilles heel, and we really got after it.
Well, I appreciate that because we had the same kind of transition here in El Paso County, and Jessie Kimber and her team have done a great job of creating a city navigator and helping the permitting process, whether it's infield, greenfield, whatever you're doing. You have a human being, that you can talk to, and a lot of those entities that touch those permits. Sometimes that bureaucracy just can drive you to drink, frankly. And like you said, time is money, and time can sometimes kill deals. And when a community comes together and they really start to shore up that process and make it more visitor friendly, so to speak. And I appreciate, because you guys just did a news release down there in the Pueblo Chieftain and in the Digest as well about this new system and these entities coming together to help streamline the permitting process. So I appreciate that.
Yep.
So tell us more about this Pueblo Means Business apparatus. What's under the hood there?
Sure. So the goal was to have a virtual one-stop shop, and so that's bringing together the city government, county government, the Pueblo West Metro District, the utility providers, and all the folks that are stops on the routing sheet. And I think they've effectively done that. I think there's still a lot more work to do to have a one-stop physical shop, but they do have a presence actually in a building that the county acquired just several years ago.
Very good.
In downtown Pueblo, right next to the county courthouse. So the other thing that I really wanted to just kind of stress to listeners or businesses that are considering the city or county of Pueblo is, like I said, I think we're large enough and experienced enough to be able to bring a lot of resources, the half-cent sales tax, tax increment financing, all the different tools to bear and quickly. But I think what's really unique is, and I've seen this happen in our community from time to time, when there's a really big prospect, you can get the president of the university and the community college and the mayor and the
Very
county
good.
commissioners. You can get them at the kitchen table together because we're small enough to do that, and we can move quickly on things. And so I just want to be sure that that's out there to the listeners.
I appreciate that. As the community continues to grow, water's not one of your main concerns. What are some of the things that you guys are eyeballing, not only from a university standpoint, but a community leadership standpoint, that you want to make sure you continue to kind of focus on and make sure it doesn't get out of hand?
Sure. I think, as I said, we have in the city of Pueblo pretty ample water resources. I think water in the areas outside of the city, like the Pueblo West Metropolitan District, Colorado City, those are things that are being worked on. But I also think ensuring that our electric rates continue to work for us and are affordable is obviously a big topic of discussion in our community always. I've always had good experiences with Black Hills to bring creative solutions to the table, but I think that's when you talk about data centers and cybersecurity and things that demand a lot of power.
Yes.
That's just an area that we're going to have to continue to evolve in to be able to compete.
Yep.
So.
Well, and with the president's, success on those investments coming to the United States, obviously we want to be in a great position to extend a hand out and say, hey, take a look at us and what we're doing out here. And you got plenty of real estate to do it as well.
Yeah. I also think the university has a really big role in economic development going forward, because as you look at some more advanced, some companies that have more advanced manufacturing processes that are technology-based, we're going to have to be highly responsive to ensuring that we have academic programming that brings out graduates that already have certain industry credentials, certifications, and that we make that pathway really clear to them.
Yeah.
And also that we try to keep the cost of education down, right?
Yes, no doubt.
Yeah, it's something that we're really sensitive to when you have to make ends meet. A lever is to increase tuition revenue, but we have to keep the overall cost of attendance viable so that the ROI to a prospective student makes sense.
Yes.
and ties to a good paying job.
Well, I can appreciate any university thinking along those lines because a lot of them don't.
Yeah.
So that's good to know that that's down there. One of the things that, we've seen become more effective and communications lines opening up here in El Paso County is between the higher education institutions and K through 12. Is that happening down in Pueblo as well?
Yes, it's it's kind of funny. I was actually conducting just a very small part. We have a local Pueblo symphony that we're very proud of.
Oh, right on.
In our community, and so they had several series of kids from across the community coming out for a symphony performance, and so we're always looking for opportunities to get those kids on campus, have some different summer programs that keep them engaged, and quite frankly, just showing them the opportunity that higher education has for them. And
no question.
So I've really I enjoy a lot of aspects of my job, but anytime we have youth on our campus, that's just a really exciting opportunity for us to showcase what we offer.
That's right. And so are there STEM programs popping up throughout the region, or? We've got one up here that's really taken off. Colorado Springs School of Technology just opened or just broke ground. How about you guys?
I'm really excited about the acronym is SCITT, SCITT.
Okay.
It stands for the Southern Colorado Institute of Transportation Technology.
Beauty.
And we have some very talented faculty that work in there. In fact, one of the professors, he literally has written some of the McGraw-Hill books on asphalt, how asphalt is produced and laid and all that sort of stuff. But they're doing some really neat things in the areas of like cold asphalt lay that would allow you to lay asphalt any time of year, even in frigid temperatures.
Beauty.
They're doing some work with the tensile strength of asphalt as it pertains to hemp and some different sort of things. But it was developed by the legislature several years ago, and SCITT has really put us on a big national map.
Congratulations. Very good. We got about 30 seconds for a quick commercial for CSU-Pueblo. Go for it, man.
Colorado State University-Pueblo is undergoing a lot of innovative change. And if you're looking for a place that is going to throw just every resource that it has into your success and ensuring that you walk out of there as efficiently as possible with a high-paying job, Colorado State University is the place for you. And just really appreciate you, Dirk, having me here today and allowing me to talk business, but also talk higher education too.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming up here and spending some time with us, give us a little visibility that we don't normally have unless we have a great conversation with one of the community leaders in Pueblo and Pueblo County. We've had Dr. Garrison Ortiz, CFO and Vice President of Operations at Colorado State University-Pueblo. If you'd like to visit him online, please do so. That's csupueblo.edu, 719-549-2951. Give him a call. If you're an employer in this region, I highly recommend you check out the university site and also pedco.com down there so you can understand the economic development equation. This is a huge macro economy, and we're here to raise all boats as best we can. Garrison, thanks for being here, sir.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Folks, have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.
You've been tuned in to Business Digest Weekly with Dirk Hobbs. If you'd like to be considered for a spot on our show, email us at info@coloradomediagroup.com.